Hey guys, PsycoRevolution here, and welcome to episode 7 of my Gmod Machinima Guide. Today we're going to be doing some lip syncing in Gmod. I don't know if we'll have time to edit it in this episode, it might be the next one, but I know for sure we're going to be doing some lip syncing in-game. Now this is what I would consider the meat and potatoes of Gmod. We're getting in there good! And if there's one food item that I'm good at making, it would be mashed potatoes. So if you're ever over at my house, say, "Hey Psycho, make me mashed potatoes," and I'll be like, "Maybe if you give me a little something, something, I will." So here we are on Off Blast, and I've already set up a heavy down here. Let me play for you the line of audio that I have selected to lip sync to.
Do you remember me now? Do you remember me now?
Okay. Do you remember me now? That's what we'll be doing. Now normally when I'm making a Gmod, I keep Sony Vegas open, minimized, and an important thing to do, I think, is have Gmod be in windowed mode, not full screen, so you can switch out of it quickly. For a long time, when I was making stuff, I kept it in full screen, so I had to wait for it to load up every time I minimized it. So, put it in windowed mode, and everything will be a lot easier. So normally when I'm lip syncing, I'll have Gmod up, I'll minimize it, go into Sony Vegas, and play whatever line I'm about to lip sync. And you need to know what you're doing. You need to hear it if you want to properly lip sync it. So you can match his, tone. So, he's a little angry, he's angry and calm at the beginning, and then when he says now, he's almost shouting it. So you need to take into account that when you're lip syncing. Okay. So I've got heavy here. I'm using the Physic Fix TF2 ragdolls like I showed you in the past, the 10 add-ons video I showed you. I'm also using the bone merging tool that I showed you. And I merged that hat on him just cuz. So now, we need to put a camera on him. If you haven't noticed, I'm in no clip mode. You do that by hitting V. And then you can fly through things. And I don't know if you know this, but hold down control when you're no clip, you can slowly move. Took me a while to figure this one out too when I was first making stuff. So I was trying to place things like cameras, and I just have to keep tapping and try and get where I wanted to. Or I just use control, and it's a lot easier to do those precise placements. Now I would say this would be right there, would be a good camera spot. Why, you ask? Well, I want to fill up the screen, number one. Number two, when I'm in editing, I'm going to actually have to crop this down a little bit, so I need to leave room above his head. So that's why it's like it is. It'll make sense later. One of my pet peeves is when people can't place a camera right. They're just like, "Here, this is a good spot," or this. Put your camera in the good spot, and it'll all be better. Okay. Here we go. Let's go into Face Poser. I'll hit K, and I remove the HUD. Oh, and right now I'm recording in Bandicam, and I'll be hitting my Bandicam screenshot button while I'm recording. You won't be able to see that, but I'll say screenshot every time I take one. So hopefully you don't get annoyed. But it was the easiest way to do it without trying to... Well, I could have put the frames per second up on the screen, but I don't want to do that. So then I have to account for that when I'm filming. And I don't want to do that. So, I'll just be saying screenshot when I take a screenshot. Okay, we're in Face Poser. Hit C to bring up this the menu. And we need a face for him to start out on. Sorry if I don't talk a lot at some points, it's because I'm trying to focus on getting the right stuff. So, I've already pre-posed this face before I started recording a bit. So that's good enough for me for the start. So, gonna scroll down off Face Poser. Make sure to not go into the camera like this. So this is the Gmod camera. And whenever you're doing anything, you never want to accidentally move into that first shot, because then it will not be... perspective will be different from if you're just in one of these shots. So I always stay in this. What am I in? I'm just in a weapon. So not... You can do the camera if you want, but I don't like it, because you can accidentally move it, and then you won't have the same spot again. So say it's like this, you take a screenshot, you move them, you go back to this, and you accidentally hit it, and now it's a different distance, and you're not going to be able to perfectly get it back to where it was. So, just use a weapon. Okay, and screenshot. So this is going to be the first screen of our line, which is, do you remember me now? So now we need that D. So I'm already on a D. So we're going to increase this a bit. And we're just going to move his other parts of his face a little bit. It'll really add a lot later on. Screenshot. So he's on D, so I use that. So now we need an O. Do. Ooh. Now these aren't specifically the letter, it's the sound. So, like ER, that doesn't specifically mean that on every ER you're going to use that. That's an sound. So, let's lower the D a bit. Or actually, no. Heavy doesn't have an OO sound slider. So I'm just kind of combining sliders to try and get that ooh look. Now whenever I'm lip syncing, I'll be making faces at my monitor, as weird as it sounds, but I'll be saying the things do and thinking about where my mouth is moving and how it should look. Now this isn't exactly what I wanted, but it's close enough for what I'm trying to do. Screenshot. So now he needs to close his mouth. One thing with Heavy, you don't want to make him the sliders for upset too far, because then he just looks retarded. Okay, so this is the Y sound. So he's do y. So as he goes into U, this is going to be the face. Screenshot. So now we need the U. Screenshot. Now I can use this AH to make his mouth open and essentially larger. On a lot of the ragdolls, if you do the AH, you can just make them lower their jaw. So it looks like he's shouting louder. But he's not shouting at this point. Whenever he says me, or now, do you remember me now? That's what he says. Hold on, somebody's calling me. Okay, I'm back. Sorry for that. So it's talking about the shouting. Okay. So he says, do you remember me now? When he says now, I might want to use that AH to make his mouth open larger, because he's shouting at that point. But he's not right now. He's relatively calm at this point. He's just angry at this point, but not yet yelling. So I don't remember if I've taken a screenshot of this yet, so screenshot. Do you... Now it needs to go in the R. Does he have an R specifically? No. Oh, yes. Here's the R. So I've got do you remember? Okay. At this point, I'm gonna move his head a little bit. Not a lot, but just like moving his facial features along with his mouth, moving his head will add a lot to make it look good in the end. Speaking of that, let's move some facial features. That's good. Did he close his mouth? Some. That looks good. Screenshot. So we're on R. Do you let's go for the E. Here's the E. Screenshot. Do you remember? Let's put this M sound. Ooh, that's a good looking face. Let's move his eyes up a little bit more too. Screenshot. We're going for the sound. Screenshot. Now we're going for the B. Remember me. Looks a lot like the M. See if we can get this a little different than the last one. Whenever you're editing, I often use the same ones multiple times. And other times, whenever I'm editing, I won't be this specific as I am right now. I'll just be like, I need this sound, this sound, this sound. Not in any particular order, I'll do that in editing. But I just want to get the facial features. But for this one, I'm really going all out. And whenever you do, like I was saying about just randomly picking some sounds, that's for short things. And when you don't want him to be like directly moving his head in a direction. I don't know if this makes sense to you, but let's just go with the flow here. This is being really specific, probably more advanced than you'll be if you're doing this for the first time. So keep that in mind. So we're on the B sound. Screenshot. Remember. Going for the sound. What do I still have up? Get rid of this MB. Not all the way though. You don't want his mouth to be moving drastically different between frames. Screenshot. Excuse me. Remember. Needs to be some more angry. Let's lower these lids so you can see his eyes. His eyes look weird. Let's lower that a bit. Let's move his head again. And his body, if it'll move. Okay, never mind, it doesn't want to move. Let's adjust his eyes too a bit. Don't want him to be moving a whole bunch. There we go. If you right click on him, it'll look at you instead of trying to use the left click, which is garbage most of the time. Remember me. Let's do this one. Screenshot. Now we'll go for the M. Make him angrier. Screenshot. Now we need the E again. He's getting angrier, so let's move his head a little bit more. Screenshot. Me. So now he's on the shouting part. He's shouting now. So, you can't see, but right now I'm making angry faces at as I say now at my monitor. So I can try and visualize what he's going to look like. So now. Teeth are showing. We want his teeth showing. He's angry. Make him a little angrier. I could go crazy and do that, but I don't feel like it. Let's try and lower this. Actually, we're going to have him close his eyes for when he shouts. I would like him to close his jaw some. He's not going to want to cooperate. So, that's good enough. Screenshot. And, see, I don't know if this will move his hat. Okay, his hat does increase when you do the inflator. Sometimes I'll do an inflator when someone's shouting or angry for emphasis. So his head's going to get a little bit bigger. Now we need that ow, that really loud shouting. And his head needs to move. Make sure his chin doesn't clip into his clothing too much. And screenshot. Now let's try to close his mouth now. As he goes now. I'm gonna do, you can do just, I guess what I consider an on to off state, so shouting to closing his mouth, but as I've done this for a while now, I've started doing more in between, so it looks more smooth. So I'm gonna have him slowly close his mouth. Screenshot. I need to take these down so he can close his mouth. Angrier. Screenshot. Now let's open his eyes. And keep that down. Make him angry. Screenshot. Okay. So that should be good for this line. I think this video has been plenty long. So, as far as editing this, I'll do this in the next episode. So, for you guys that hung in there with me, props to you. I'll see you on the next episode. We'll throw all this into the editing program and make it all come together. See ya.